There's a lot of stuff that doesn't work about Badame Web. Oh, heads up for the 3 of you that care, this video is going to contain Badame Web spoilers. And for anyone watching this in the future, the film's only just come out, so I can't really edit with clips from specific scenes, just going to be a lot of trailer footage, apologies. But yeah. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't work about Badame Web. Actually, no, let's not start there. On this channel, we try to be positive. There's a lot that doesn't work, but there are some bits that almost kinda sorta do. Because it isn't that literally every part of this film is a disaster. Most of the performances are alright, there's an amount of solid cinematography now and then, the streets of Naughty's New York look good, look vibrant, the broad strokes of Cassie's characterization, the kind of acidic cynicism feel both kind of unique, and like someone behind the cameras actually encountered this character on the page before. The film sometimes teeters toward making her straightforwardly unlikable in a way that doesn't feel intentional, but it more or less avoids this in the end. Dakota Johnson's sometimes able to add an out-of-pocket dorkiness to this, which works until it doesn't. A lot of Johnson's comedy is kneecapped by the edit, for instance, when we linger too long in the aftermath of kinda funny lines. Shit, sorry, that's negativity. We're being positive. There are times throughout the film when the central gimmick, the partial groundhog death vision thingy, approaches being fun. Okay, I tried. That is about it. Yes, there are moments where a good film based on this type of quick-fire premonition almost becomes visible through Badame Web, but the vision never quite solidifies. A satisfying way to employ a trick like Cassie's here would have been to double down on something the film actually does a few times, would have been to show us and Cassie an unsuccessful future, which ends badly because of a few visibly important variables, and after the vision, let us reverse engineer our way to a different, better ending. There are a small handful of times this is done, and those see this aspect of the film almost shine, but the rest of the time these precog sequences either give an immediate, straightforward solution to Cassie, making it feel like she's not problem-solving or struggling, just getting answers from on high, peeking forward at her movie's script, or they're paced and over-edited to the point of incomprehensibility, or used simply as cheap sources of exposition. And I say cheap because, well, take the nighttime diner vision sequence. After narrowly escaping evil Spider-Man at a roadside diner, and yes, I know he's supposed to be a version of Ezekiel Sims, but the character has no depth whatsoever beneath his role as evil Spider-Man, so that's what I'm calling him, Cassie takes the future Spider-Woman she's protecting to a motel, and they sleep. We see Cassie rise, though, and steal out into the night, returning to the wrecked diner. Evil Spider-Man is there. He gives her some key information about stuff, his poison power, and so on, and then he kills her. And then she wakes up. Surprise, this was a vision too. But she'd been sleeping, she hadn't had this vision en route to the diner. Until this point, the only substantial, prolonged visions Cassie'd had were about far more imminent situations, after she'd locked herself into encountering the problem by making choices. This exposition dump comes before she'd made that choice. The root problem here, of which this is but a symptom, is the lack of definition around what Cassie's powers are and how they work. Now, there's nothing wrong with Cassie not knowing. There's not necessarily a problem with the film never explicitly telling us how these visions work. But if the film itself doesn't seem to know, if the viewer can never pick up a generally consistent picture of what Cassie gets given, when, and why, that's an issue. It makes the precog action sequences flabby and unsatisfying, and it makes the diner vision sequence feel random and unearned. If she is getting thrown freebies like this, why do they stop here? Why don't the rest of the film's problems and potential death scenarios get communicated to her further in advance? Why isn't she getting the foreknowledge about the hospital trip while napping on the flight back from Peru? Maybe there is an answer to that, but yeah, the film doesn't seem to know it, neither does Cassie, and neither do we. Cheap. You know, maybe it's simply that she couldn't get to sleep on the plane. In that case, she could have done with a mask from this video's sponsor, Manta Sleep. Manta make a range of premium sleep masks that I'm super happy to be spreading the word about. No matter how you sleep, there's something here for you. Me, I'm a side sleeper mostly, so I got my hands on the Pro Mask, which is a perfect fit for my sleep profile. It's so comfy that soon enough you just stop noticing it's there. It's got detachable, adjustable eye cups, so you know it'll fit you, it's breathable, and it gives you this awesome, immediate total blackout. I typically struggle to get my 40 winks, but I've been wearing it this past week, and it's the strangest thing. I've actually felt refreshed waking up. Maybe if evil Spider-Man had been wearing one of these bad boys, he wouldn't have had the scary Spider-Woman nightmare that sets him on a path to ruin. Food for thought. Either way, check Man to Sleep out and use my code PILLAR for 10% off at checkout. But anyway, the problems we've been talking about, that's just from the precog gimmick. Earlier I praised the look of some of the shots, but for every bit of good camera work there's 5 head scratches. I mean, look no further than the zooms. The film does this very odd thing where the camera zooms very obtrusively into a character's face during tense moments. It's not even something that happens during fights or chases or anything really, it's mostly during dialogue. There's one exchange at the start and one right at the end where it keeps happening, line after line. Maybe it's commendable in spirit, but in practice, at least in the version of this film that ended up releasing, it's an absurdly strange effect. Fortunately, it's not alone there. A few minutes ago I mentioned the editing, but good lord is it bizarre and painful, particularly in a couple of flashback vision scenes, which cram in so many flash cuts and blinding washes of effects that I physically got a headache. If you're epileptic, don't watch Badame Web, unless you're a masochist too, in which case run, don't walk to your local theatre. And that's not even it, there are some truly nauseating cuts in this film too, not even in fight sequences, just in dialogue again, and holy god, the dialogue. Here are a few examples in particular of lines I couldn't believe a human being actually wrote. I hope the spiders were worth it, Mom. As the years pass, there have been technological advances. Your science didn't stop him, so what good is it? What good is science? You guys, this is so freaky. The spider venom did have healing properties. There were more I noted down too, but we'll get to those. They're kind of something else. Besides singularly bad lines, there's also the way characters tell other characters things they both know but we don't. Cassie tells Ben, "I was a model foster kid," or "Come on, we both hate family stuff." And actually, you know what? Man Carrying Things made this point about Badame Web already. Just watch his video. All this orbits a plot so baffling that attempting to recall it after the fact feels like trying to journal a fever dream. The villain's motivation, the thing that drives this film, is based on the fact that he's had visions he'll be killed by 3 spider women at some point in the future, and is trying to murder those women now as non-powered teenagers to prevent this. I'm obsessed with the fact that the film justifies evil Spider-Man being able to electronically track them through the idea that he's been able to correctly guesstimate when in the future these visions are set, and to perfectly draw photoreal portraits of their masked faces so accurate that a computer program in 2003 is able to de-age those drawings and match them up with contemporary CCTV footage. Now, this whole thing is set up. This builds the Rube Goldberg machine of the film's story. It doesn't derail its progress, so technically there's not a ton wrong with it really. I'm not criticizing it from any structural perspective, but, you know, what? What an absurd justifying mechanism. Why did they go with this? I'm also in disbelief that Cassie's #1 trick for dealing with evil Spider-Man is just to smash into him with a car. She does this twice to great effect. Evil Spider-Man is no match for car. And this is to say nothing of the film's nonsensical peak, the point in the film's climax where Cassie inexplicably splits into 3 versions of herself to rescue the endangered spider teens, in a way that's never set up beforehand, beside a standard issue line about great power, and never mentioned afterward. And if you haven't seen the film, I am not joking, that happens. And there's no end of minor weirdnesses. Why has evil Spider-Man made an evil Spider-Man costume? Why do the supposedly kidnapped girls, whose faces are all over the news, go with Ben to the hospital rather than stay in the house they've been safe in for a week? And that's to say nothing of the magical Amazonian spider tribe, or Cassie's whiplash trip to Peru to see them, or the way half the time Cassie's visions seem to be able to warp her around, or the fact that the film only gives Cassie her poster costume during the very last seconds of a wrap-up montage, or any of the other weird little things that spill out of practically every scene. It's a shame the tone of Badame Web is so self-serious, so out of step with the goofy lunacy of moments like the above. Moments like the triple split or the dream tracking technology could be highlights of a superhero farce, but here they're simply the most jarring results of a poorly scripted film. Bedmates of empty motifs and stunted themes. It only struck me that Badame Web was trying to make any sort of cohesive statement on the new perspectives you gain on childhood memories upon becoming a mother yourself, for instance, when I happened to play the Big Moon's album Here Is Everything the next morning. Something that, you know, actually manages to do that. So There's a lot of stuff that doesn't work about Madame Web, to the point that when the screen just shut off during my showing, I didn't blame the hardware. And you've probably heard variations on the above from plenty of other guys by now. But I don't think any of that lot, ranging as it does from incompetence to incoherence to feverish absurdity, annoyed me as much as one other specific aspect of this film. The, key jangling. I mentioned Cassie's paramedic buddy Ben. His surname is Parker, because of course it is. Early on in the film, he tells Cassie he kinda met someone, and this time it's serious. It's Aunt May! He's talking about Aunt May! Do you get it? The film asks, lips stretched impossibly wide in an oversized grin. She's from Spider-Man! There's an extended baby shower sequence where Cassie sits in on a room of women trying to guess the never-spoken name of Ben's sister's baby. A baby she says never stops sleeping around in there. I don't know if any of you guys realize this, so I might be about to blow some minds, but that baby, that's actually Spider-Man. Do you get it? The Spider-Girls introduce themselves with full names, just to make sure nobody misses the fact that they're the people from The Thing. Frankie references an Uncle Jonah. Do you get it? The film's utter insistence that you recognize the richly symbolic moment it's created is cloying outside of the spider referencing. At one point, Cassie opens a blurred fortune cookie, ruminates that maybe she doesn't have a set future. At another, she's given foreknowledge of the blood on her hands that'll result if she doesn't stop her boss from dying. But here, it just never stops. What, you've never been shot at in Queens? Cassie asks Ben early on. By the end, Ben's an uncle now. Yes, the final set piece is kicked off when Ben and the girls try to get Pepsi Parker's mother to the hospital in time, and as one character puts it, that means Ben's got all of the fun, none of the responsibility. Cassie's not so sure though. Do you get it? Her friend's going to die, like in Spider-Man! So yes, this gets annoying fast, but that's not why I'm making so much of it here. No, I think it's extremely telling. I think it leads us right to the empty heart of Madame Web. A few of the critical responses to this film have observed that Madame Web feels almost embarrassed of its source material and the comic booky side, the Spider-Man-ness of it all, and I don't think this is it. The film is delighted to engage in this side of it. Can't go 5 minutes without reminding you that a certain wall crawler is right around the corner. It loves engaging with this side of itself. It's just that this engagement takes the form of key jangling, references, ever so subtle, sly nods. Peter! His name is Peter! They're guessing his name, but his name is— What's being noticed isn't embarrassment, it's restraint. In a recent interview, Clarkson framed the choice not to actually stage a Spider-Woman origin here, the decision to have the cast only possess powers in future visions in these terms, suggesting doing otherwise would have been greedy, would have been taking more than her fair share of the spider pie. And the assumption of that spider pie's presence, the way no part of that pie is actually sliced up and served, these things are at the very core of Madame Web. This film's plot revolves around an attempt to protect potential future spider heroics absent from the film itself. In other words, this film's plot tells you precisely what this movie is. Let me explain. Since the 90s, Sony's owned the cinematic rights to Spider-Man and his associated side characters, family members, spider people, villains, Morbiuses. Sony currently lends the Spidey rights to Marvel Studios in a mutually beneficial arrangement that so far walled the hero off from the Morboverse. But that deal's already lapsed once, and doubtless it won't last forever. Spidey's MCU exclusivity certainly won't. Reportedly, Sony at one point tried to get Andrew Garfield back to appear as Pepsi Parker here, before shifting gears and aiming for Tom Holland, in an effort to bring its universe of spider stories into contact with MCU Spidey. This all fell apart eventually, seemingly alongside a shift to the film's chronology, but make no mistake, even when he's not on screen, these films are about Spider-Man. They're Sony trying to wring every last penny from the property while Spidey fever is hot, but they're also Sony trying to build up a "we've got MCU at home" universe in the background, while their main draw's tied up in their MCU deal. By erecting this cinematic terrarium, Sony's made certain that if that sharing deal does end, maybe even before that point, they can take Spidey back, plug him in, and make live-action Spidey flicks themselves with an established library of allies and villains without having to start from scratch. So Madame Web shores up the past of Sony's Spider franchise, tees up its present by bolstering the ranks of potential side characters in this world, and then oh so reverently it steps back. What's being noticed isn't embarrassment. Madame Web isn't treading on eggshells because it's too cool for Spider-Man, it's treading on eggshells to stay out of that future Sony Spider-Man franchise's way. We need to have the option for Sydney Sweeney as a Spider-Woman someday in the future, but we'll save her origin, in case we want that in the future. We can't be greedy and do that here. We need to slam the audience over the head with the Parker connections, but we can't show May because that'll lock us to a universe. Madame Web needs May to potentially be Marissa Tomei and potentially be someone else, so we can't ever actually see her. This film joylessly spins its wheels, hedges its setting and delays its gratification, takes up as little franchise space as it can to simply exist and set the stage for something more in the future. Madame Web is a 2-hour cinematic exercise in keeping your toys in the box, saving them to play with another day. In other words, it's a movie that perfectly channels the joyless, IP-retentive efforts of Sony's Spidey division, churning out a constant stream of product in order to maintain the ability to churn out something maybe good at some unspecified point in the future. That's the plan. Or was. Because, of course, the wheels look to be falling off the superhero train, not least because of perceived quality issues with recent releases. Sony's betting on the bankability of the genre of Spider-Man, a bankability built by the MCU, has had this be a cornerstone of its cinematic strategy in recent years, is building in these Morbiverse films a future founded on that bankability, but people aren't going to want to see another big-screen Spider-Man universe forever, and they're only getting less and less likely to, with every substandard superhero project that flops out of the content pipe. The ultimate irony of Madame Web is that, in delegating its own gratification to some imagined future Sony Spider franchise, in making this delegation so central and so obtrusive an aspect of itself, it actively works to make that future less likely. As of the morning I'm editing this, it's looking like that work is already coming to fruition. I think it speaks to this film's monumental stupidity that a movie ostensibly about clairvoyance is this short-sighted. Thank you all for watching. Likes and shares are appreciated as always, and if you don't hit subscribe right now, I'll run you down with a car, twice. Huge shout out as always to my supporters on YouTube and Patreon who make videos like these possible, especially Hanan, Daniel Goldhorn, Karen Coolman, Magath, Ryan Emily, Something Capitalism Bad, Thomas R, and Weirdy Beardy. And I'll see you all soon.